This is music, and this is a tale of death squads and smoky salmons. Welcome to another First Impressions video. In these videos I share with you my first impressions of the many CDs I have blind bought over the last couple of years. This time I have only a handful of CDs because I haven't had a whole lot of time to listen to CDs. I've been busy at work and so on and so forth. But let's just get down to business. Up first, Death Squad by Darkness, reissue with the actual album, and then pretty much another album's worth of bonus tracks, and also another Darkness album, same story, reissues, Defenders of Justice, an album, and pretty much an album's worth of bonus tracks. So Darkness, it's a German thrash metal band. They are kind of known for having a slightly quirky approach to things. The music is all-out thrash metal, but they quite often do some quite quirky things on their albums. Maybe they have a weird blues song or a weird kind of swing section or something like that. These are, as far as I understand, quite early releases by the band, so they haven't reached the quirkiness stage yet. So what we have here is very Teutonic thrash sounding thrash, which makes a whole lot of sense, I think. The songs are fast, they're fierce. Some of them are more like speed metal songs. You also have some straight up traditional metal as well, but yeah, fast and fierce thrash metal. And I think if you like your Teutonic thrash metal, like from the 80s, and you don't know these releases here, I think you should take advantage of the fact that they've been reissued and pick them up, because I think you will like them. The bonus tracks, that's where maybe you get a little bit of quirkiness. You have a cover version of Detroit Rock City here, a live one as far as I remember, and here you have a live cover version of Living After Midnight. You have some German language versions of some of the songs which are in English on the albums themselves. You have some demo versions, some other live material, so it's a good mix of things. But yeah, very good stuff. I do prefer their later stuff when they get a bit more quirky, but don't get me wrong, this is quality thrash metal too. So do yourself a favor and pick it up if you like old school Teutonic thrash metal. Here we have some 90s thrash metal, Dearly Beheaded, Temptation. And this is from 96 or something along the lines of that. So it's 90s thrash, it's a bit more mid-tempo. There's a bit more emphasis on groove as well. The guitar tone is quite well defined and everything is very tight. And I think that there will be some kind of really old school thrash heads that will not appreciate that. But I gotta say, I quite enjoy this album. I think that Dearly Beheaded's version of 90s thrash metal is a lot better than what a lot of other thrash metal artists tried to do with their music back in the kind of late 90s. So this is actually quite good stuff. I enjoy it. If you like your 90s thrash, I think you will enjoy this one too. Up next, some more traditional heavy metal, Imperium Mundi by Descendant. This is a very early release in Jawbreaker Records catalog. Traditional heavy metal with some leanings that remind me a bit of post Bruce Dickinson's return Iron Maiden. And also another reference point to me is the Lord Weird Slough Feg. So it's traditional heavy metal with some kind of folky leanings. The vocals are a bit more along the lines of Slough Feg. But it is traditional heavy metal, and I would say it's probably new wave of traditional heavy metal too. But what I quite enjoy and appreciate about this is that unlike a lot of other contemporary new wave of British heavy metal bands, these guys kind of have their own thing going on. Now, I'm not saying that all new wave of traditional heavy metal bands sound the same, but I do kind of get the impression that a lot of those bands nowadays, they do have kind of a particular sound and style that they're aiming for. So you do have a lot of new wave of traditional heavy metal bands that have a very similar approach, and I don't have a problem with that, because it just happens to be an approach that I quite like musically. These guys kind of do their own thing, I would say, which I appreciate. It's not a masterpiece or anything like that, but it's pretty damn solid, and it's a nice alternative to a lot of these other new wave of traditional metal bands that have kind of a very similar approach. So do check out Descendant, if that sounds like something you're interested in. Okay, so in a reaction video on the Wandering Souls channel, Mark said that Ningen Isu, Japanese band, that they are described as kind of the Japanese version of Black Sabbath. And I have an entire compilation here, a 2-disc affair with the OB strip and a massive booklet as well, to support that claim. Yeah, Ningen Isu, they're a power trio, and their music is, I would say, old school doom metal with some kind of doomy hard rock elements as well. And there does seem to be quite an influence from Black Sabbath, without these guys sounding like, I would say, a Black Sabbath ripoff. Very good stuff. You have some very heavy and doomy riffs, and we're not talking Death Doom or Blackened Doom or Epic Doom or any of that modern stuff. No, this is old school doom metal, Black Sabbath, Pentagram, Bedemon, that sort of stuff, and it's awesome. I really enjoy this. I hope more kind of old school doom metal fans in the West will listen to these guys, because they are up there, I would say, in terms of the quality of their music with those artists I just mentioned and a lot of other similar artists for sure. My favorite song by these guys is Heartless Scat, I think is the English title, which is on here, so that's great. But yeah, you have some heavy doomy riffs, you have some just crunching old school heavy metal riffs, you have some southern rock riffs as well, you have some groovy stuff. Yeah, most of it is kind of like mid-tempo to kind of slow, you know, for hard rock and, you know, more old school doom metal. But you do have some really fast parts, which are almost like punky and thrashy, which I quite appreciate. But this is absolutely great stuff. If you're a fan of doom metal, if you're a fan of old school doom metal, traditional doom metal, if you like darker and groovier hard rock as well, check out this band. They are fantastic. I hope more people in the West will pay attention to them. Up last, this one here by Numbnuts, and it's called Smokey the Salmon and the Horny Mermaids of Detention. This is a blend of hardcore and thrash metal, and this is not a first impression. I have kind of a digital promo version of this, but somehow this one ended up in my first impressions box, so I figured I'll just mention it anyways. And these guys actually contacted me back when this one came out, and because I did a lot of music reviews back then, and told me that they were a band that combined hardcore and thrash metal, but they were not a metalcore band. That was very important for them to point out, and asked me if I wanted to review it, and I said, yeah, sure. And I liked it back then, and I think I like it even more now. Yeah, it's not metalcore, it's crossover thrash, but kind of like modern hardcore, like 2010s kind of modern hardcore, and modern thrash metal from the 2000s, 2010s as well. So it has a very modern thrash metal sound and a modern hardcore sound. So I pick up a lot of influence from Propane on this release, which it's not a problem to me because I love that band Propane. And you know, like the sound that Agnostic Front had in the 2000s and 2010s as well. So that kind of modern sounding hardcore and, you know, modern thrash metal from the 2000s. And it's great. Lots of awesome riffs on here. Occasionally you got some melodic stuff too, which works very well. The vocals are more along the lines of, you know, Propane and so on and so forth. And there is a song called Satans of Swing, which is a kind of a cover version of Sultans of Swing. So this is one of these like dodgy thrash metal covers that a lot of thrash metal fans don't like, but which I, for some reason, I've always enjoyed those. I'm a big fan of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, the Flotsam and Jetsam cover version of an Elton John song. I quite like Onslaught's version of Let There Be Rock. I'm actually a big fan of that version too. Exodus's Overdose, and even their Low Rider song, I enjoy listening to those. Realms, crazy version of Eleanor Rigby. Artillery's version of Razamanaz. I quite like those thrash metal versions of non-thrash metal songs, so I quite enjoy the Satans of Swing on this one. But yeah, if you're a fan of modern thrash metal, if you're a fan of modern hardcore, if you're a fan of crossover thrash, check out Numbnuts' Smokey the Salmon and the Horny Mermaids of Detention. The lyrics are a little bit silly, but I think that's by design. I think even if you are a metalcore fan, if you like the more thrashy style of metalcore, like Shadows Fall, God forbid, stuff like that, I think you will enjoy this too, although to my ears it's not metalcore. But yeah, good stuff. Do check out Numbnuts. So not that many CDs this time around, but I would say a very, very, very good catch here, because I enjoyed all of these, and I know I cheated. One of them was not a first impressions, but I can recommend all of these, especially Ningen Isu. Do check out. That's an amazing just power trio. So there you go. Thanks for watching.